Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. Today, I have a very special guest. She is a nail tech, an entrepreneur, and businesswoman, and she is the CEO of Nail Career Education. Please welcome Suzie Moskal. Hello, Suzie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Asia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
That's good. That's good to hear. So, I wanted to take you into the beginning. So, I wanted to ask pertaining to what was your upbringing like and how did you get started into the beauty industry? So, if you could share your story in terms of how you grew up, what was your upbringing like, as well as how you got into the beauty industry, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm old, so I could go back a long way. So if I go back to where I'm a little kid, I was born in the mid 60s and I was born rather poor. My parents didn't have a dime to scrape together.
Oh,
But and that's probably and that didn't have any effect on really any of my artistic values, which was I loved dancing. I would have gone into dancing had I had the financial background to do so. But art was always something that I like. Anything visual,
mhm.
anything like that. So my very first artistic nail probably would have been painting my grandma's nails. I found some nail polish in her cupboard and I painted her nails. And I remember I would paint them all the time, probably driving her nuts. And that was the very first time actually that I saw ridges in the nails. That's actually a thing where the nails can get more ridgier. And I didn't learn what that meant until literally 40 years later and it came into play, but I never forgot those ridges in her nails. So painting nails was where it started and I was probably 5. So that's where I would say that I fell in love with nails. But I didn't have any money. I was raised in a nice area, but we were living in the lower income housing development section of that nice area. So I had a
Right.
lot of friends who were able to do the going to Disneyland all the time and the dance classes. So I sometimes would tag along to the dance classes and I'd be in the sort of hallway practicing the moves that she was learning.
Right.
So that was my extent of my upbringing for things. So I moved out when I was 16, and when you're that young, you kind of pave your way of earning money. So earning money and supporting yourself was my main goal, and that's what I did. And I did that, and starting, I used to clean banks, and then I went into McDonald's, and then I went into retail, like Foot Locker, Lady Foot Locker, all those kinds of things, and Ricky's, which is I don't think it's just American or Canadian chain, and then I was doing retail and I needed to change. I was married at the time just for a few years because I got married young at 18. And then I saw a ad in the paper and I really wanted to change. I wanted just something different than what I was doing, but I was getting into doing album covers and airbrushing nail art for my husband's company, which was a recording studio company.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I had a little booth that I set up in there and I used to do the airbrush art. And then the local television contacted me and wondered if I would do some maps and stuff. So I did that. Then I was talking to bands and stuff because of course bands were coming in and out of the door 24/7 and starting to get into designing album covers. And so I was having fun doing that.
Mhm.
And then I needed something more creative because retail, I don't know if you've ever worked retail, but gets a little bit,
Mhm.
it's not very creative.
Right.
Although I was decorating the mannequins, doing the outfits and stuff, which I love doing. I could have made a whole career on that. So then I saw an ad in the paper in the mid 80s for a nail technician, having no idea what that meant. I saw the ad there for about a month. That's how I used to find jobs, is in the newspaper. And it
Mhm.
was there for about a month.
Mhm.
And I was tracking down other jobs and nothing was panning out. So I went, I'm going to go see what this nail thing is all about. I had no idea.
Mhm.
So I walked into this tiny little place in mid downtown Victoria and met this little woman who was hiring another 300 girls. She hired me and another girl. And
Mhm.
I think just based on, she was only a year older than me. I was 23 at the time. She was 24.
Mhm.
So I think she just went on her gut feeling of just our rapport together. And she literally came in, said, come in the next day, bring a model. I did a new set. I did it on my mother-in-law. It took me 6 hours. And
Wow.
it was not very good, of course. And I remember she showed me how to do the liquid and powder and forming the nail. And then I remember her husband, he was a bodybuilder, and he was so dedicated to watching her business grow. And he was always there. He was a receptionist. And I remember him watching me and going, you're developing your own style. And I went, what? I don't even know what I'm doing. And then I took from that, oh, maybe I'm doing something right then. So 2 weeks after that sort of hands-on training with her, she put me on the floor with the clients, and I started clients literally right away. So really, where did I really learn? Doing the client with the minimal products that we had. I mean, today it's an explosion of products, but we literally worked with a mandrel that was 3 or 4 times bigger than the mandrel we have now. We didn't have cutting in bits. We didn't have none of the bits, carbides, none of those bits existed. And we only had 2 or 3 colors of powder. So we were doing natural. And then when the white came in, we did French pink and whites. Then the pink came in. That's all we did. And I did that for years. And then about 5 to 10 years later, glitter exploded, color acrylic exploded on the scene. And then now today, then gel came into play. Now gel was always there in the mid 80s, but it wasn't very good. And then it came in 90s, and then 2000, it came into gel polish, and that exploded. And this is where we're going from here. But yeah, so I just started off with really nothing, and just luck of the draw, just where it kind of took me. And then when I got the job doing the nails, I worked for her for about almost a year and built the clientele. And we were very new. Nails was very new in Victoria. Nobody was getting them done, but the very little clientele that was interested, we had the monopoly on it, or her salon, by the way. So then she closed her salon because she wanted to have children and move on to things in her life. And then, so I was going to quit. I was going to, that was fun. That was fun while it lasted. But then I kind of thought, well, I'm 24 and I've got this whole clientele. Maybe I should open my own place. I mean, I've worked kind of hard for these guys, and maybe I could keep this thing going. And never running a business before, I was like, well, the only thing about that is, whenever I have a problem, I always went to the boss, But if I do this, I'm going to be the boss. Like, can I handle that? And then I thought to myself, why not?
Yeah, why not?
So I opened up, why not? So I opened up my own salon. That was the first time, 24, I guess, opened up my own salon. And then I thought of it as a partnership, as renting a space, like an apartment. So I thought, how can I wrangle this? Maybe I'll ask one of the girls that were having to, she's closing her business. One of the girls have to leave too. There was like 6 of us in there. So I asked one of the girls if they want to partner with me and share the rent. And she said, sure. And that's how I started my first salon. It was actually easy. It wasn't very hard.
Oh, that's a really cool story. Like,
sorry, it was a long way around.
Yeah. It was like, I like how with your story, you did like all these different jobs, and then like you got into nails. It's like, okay, is this something that, I don't know how it's gonna pan out, but you never know. Like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, you try different things.
That's right.
You find something that suits better for you or that you love to do. And I want to ask around about the salon experience, like you owning a salon or working in a salon. So what tips and pieces of advice would you give for someone who wants to own their own salon or to work in a salon, have experience with dealing with clients and things of that nature?
Such a great question. If you are going to own a salon, know what you want out of it. Like if someone says to me, where should I go on vacation? Well, it depends on what you want out of it. Do you want to kind of like take the kids to the beach and crash by 9 and then get up again in the morning and hit the waves? Or do you want to just hit the night scene and party like crazy and drink and have a hoot and howling time with strangers? Right. That's great. Either one is great, but either one might not be good for me. So it's a broad statement to say, what do you want to do in your vacation? Very different. So what do you want to do when you open up your salon?
Right.
So my advice on that is, if you're going to run a salon, there's probably more, but from what I'm aware of, in my experience, there's 2 different types of salon. That is the owner operator, and you're there, boots on the ground, and you are working it every day, and you are there monitoring your staff. Or you are running a salon simply to generate money, and it's just sort of a moneymaker for you. They're 2 very, very different, because you cannot take the same model as your owner operator and have it making money just for you. That's, I learned the hard way. You think that, you get a bunch of girls and you pay for the rent and,
Right.
and you can just rake in all the extra money. That
Hmm.
doesn't work that way. First of all, people don't work sometimes great together. You're always replacing. They move away. They have different reasons where they give it up, or they anything can change their life.
Oh, the volume's low. The volume's low. The volume cut off.
She can't hear still.
Yeah, I can hear
Test,
you.
test, test. Oh, she can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I had to get cameraman back in here to figure it out because I don't do this stuff. I can't figure it out. Save my life.
Okay, good to see that you're back, and especially the volume's back on, because it went.
Oh,
It
good. The
lowered,
volume is back too, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
it
Okay.
lowered at first, and then it just went
Yeah.
off. I was
It
like,
lowered at first, and then she said it just went off. Okay, we got it. Okay, so what I learned was, for me, it worked great running a salon because I was there working every day, all day with staff. Keeping up quality control is so important because customer service is so important, as far as doing the clients and then dealing with any problems that happen really saves and evolves and develops your reputation within the community. And that's why clients come to you, is because they can get the service done efficiently, beautifully, at the price that they're willing to pay in a hopefully central area for them to keep coming to you, right?
mm-hmm.
And it comes down to sometimes just for them to get the service that they need as quickly as possible, or in a timely fashion, and delivered in a really pleasant, comfortable atmosphere. That's what the client seeks. Right? Sometimes if it's an unrealistic request from a client, you might upset the client, but maybe you can't fulfill that. It's realistic, and maybe things can go bad, but you always want to be there to troubleshoot whatever happens in your salon. And that's why I say, if you're there in your salon working with your staff, you can make sure that those things are delivered top notch, right? High quality stuff. That's what I love running a salon and doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in a position where you are just you own a salon and you just have the staff coming, in my opinion, that's a very different type of salon, and that can certainly work. But it's a different kind of clientele that you're getting to, because my salon is the kind of clientele where they come in and the client phones or calls or online books, and they usually have a preference of which technician that they're booking with, and they book often with that one particular person, and they can have consultation, and you develop a relationship with that one person, and so sometimes you'll do that one person for years, and you get a real rapport. And if you were to move and leave that salon, most likely the client will follow you wherever you go. That is a real loyal client technician relationship that I have built my whole 30 years on. And that to me is the crust of it. That is what I love about nails, because really it just turns out to be a friendship, and you're really getting together for a coffee. You're doing the nails, but it sort of turns into, you really want to look forward to what they're doing. And but it still is a very client technician relationship. I'm not going to ask them if I could borrow $1,000, and they're not going to ask me. It's not that kind of relationship.
Right.
But it is, they really, look forward to it after a while, and you become a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great. But the other type of salon is where you don't really get to know your nail technician. You may not book an appointment. You just kind of show up at the front door. You kind of a walk-in situation, which is great if you're looking for that kind of thing. So you don't get really attached to one particular tech. And you may not know the quality that you're getting all the time, but the salon would try to keep up a standard level of quality. And they may pay their techs more of an hourly basis, rather than they don't get the chunk that goes to them. So the way I would work it would be 50, 60, 40 split, and the tech would get, 50 or 60 or even 40% of whatever you decide to work out. And you were sort of in partnership with your staff member. It's sort of more what it is. And they take pride in their client and stuff. Otherwise, you have the other scenario where you're sort of paying the staff member per hour, and they could change, and it doesn't really matter to the client. They're not really booking in, and you can control more things, maybe the content of what you're putting out there. Maybe the techs don't have as much choice with this and that, so to me, either one works. I know people get upset at the lower quality one, they think it's lower quality, and sometimes it is, and sometimes the one that seems like you're booking with the same girl, that can be lower quality too. So there's no real it's no real guide rule that just because you're paying more or it's more looking more higher and that is going to be better. We hope that, but that doesn't always, say the case. So if you're going to run a salon and you're to figure out which kind of one you want, and that's the structure that you're going to have. For me, I have experience in the I hire the techs and I pay them on basically a commission, so they share part of that pride and ownership in the salon. And when I run those kinds of salons, which was only what I've done, I don't have experience in the other, so I can't really speak to that. I just know what that model looks like. But when I run it the way I like, it works very well. But I have found, because of my YouTube situation, we're paying so much attention to the YouTube, and now I'm releasing and making products and stuff, and I'm teaching a lot. I don't have time to be in the salon all the time. So you have to rely on the staff. And because I'm not there all the time, like I say, those boots on the ground, when I'm there working, I don't get a chance to be there to make sure the standards and high quality of everything is remaining where I need it to be. I'm not saying that it's dropped. I'm just saying I'm not aware sometimes of everything that's going on. So if you have been well established and you can have regular meetings with the girls and you can, or their staff members, and you can make sure that you can keep focused on that, then that can be a great model. But for me, I love being in the salon daily, every day, talking with the clients. Even though they're not my client, I love to always, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Because at one point I probably have done their nails, or I brought them into the salon. So with this situation right now, I can't be there all that much time. So for me, it's not running is the best that I would like, or at least I'm not even getting to witness that as much because I'm not there all the time. So for me, if you're going to do a business, think about the motto of the business model of what you want and how you want it to represent to the community, what type of business you want. And you can't, in my opinion, you just don't open up a salon and just rent it to a bunch of people and rake in all the money and make tons of money. It may sound like a good business plan, but it doesn't work. It may look good on paper, but it doesn't pan out that way as well as you might think. So, but having said that, if you are a nail technician and you want to open up a salon, it's not as hard as you think. It's not much different than renting an apartment with a friend or a bunch of friends. Just get a contract if you got a bunch of people. But if it's no different than renting an apartment and just paying the bills and taking the clients in, paying off all the debt, the bills and all that, and then taking the extra money. It really is one of the easiest things. I did it at 24. It was one of the easiest things I ever did. I don't regret a moment of it. I love it. And of course, for me, the hugest thing is I get to decorate it, and then I can change it and change it up. And clients love that when you take pride in your work atmosphere. And that's why I do all this. Because it's just, if this looked like really like my real nail room can look like sometimes when I'm in a mess, it wouldn't be near as fun to watch. And it's also cluttery. I mean, there's lots of lights and stuff, but if there was junk back there, it'd be like, it's not as, I don't know, pleasant. So same with the client. So why would, I could go on a tangent. I could talk about this for days, but if you're going to open up a salon, sit in the client's chair, enter the room like the client does, sit in the chair that she does or he does. And you can look and see what they see. So when you sit at your desk, you see a different view. So sit in their desk, pretend you're the client. That's the number one thing I would always do, is pretend I was the client. When I come into my salon, what do I see? What could I fix? That's what I would do to make sure the client is getting the experience that I want them to get from their point of view. But still, running a salon, and honestly, you guys, if you're going to run a salon, it really comes down to your staff. That's the big thing. Your staff. So think about who you want to be, how you want to represent yourself, and then find staff that mirror that and that could give the community that service that you want. Because heads up, running a salon with you and maybe a friend who's there every day, boots on the ground, paying your rent, that's the easy part. But once you get staff in there, that could be a pain. So it really matters, the key people that you get. It's really, really important.
Yeah, I like how you brought up those points, because it's not just about like intention, but it's also about like what's the whole goal behind opening up a salon. And I like how you explain the differences between like running a salon and owning a salon, because I think that's very important for especially us that's in the beauty industry to understand. And working in a spa, I worked in a spa like my last year of college, And I understood how to network with people. I understood how to get to know people, work with
Yep.
clients, understand different people. So I think not just owning a salon is important, but also connecting with other people and also networking too. And
Totally.
that's what I've been taught by other people who've owned businesses or who've been around business people, is like you have to network, and get to know other people, and surround
Yep.
yourself with people who have the same interests as you do. So I
Yeah.
like how you brought up those good points, because I think, important, and in order to have a clientele, you have to, network and connect with others and let
Yeah,
people.
because you know what? It is about the nails. Let's face it. That's what draws us together.
Mhm,
But if you said, "Oh, I really like your nails. Where do you get them done?" And if
mhm,
my response is, "Oh, yeah, I can do these. What are they serving? Where's the shrimp?" So if you meet somebody at a party, I guess I forgot to set that setting, but if you meet somebody and your attitude is kind of meh, but if someone says, "Oh, I really like your nails, when you get them done?" "Oh, thank you. Oh, I love them. I actually do them myself."
mhm.
And then you could turn it on to them. "Do you wear nails?" And then the person might put their hands in their pocket, or you can grab their hands and say, "Oh, you have really nice nail beds," or "The shape of your nails are beautiful." It's that interaction. That's what sells it. The
Right,
nails get their attraction to talk to you, but what sells it is your response and your personality and your passion for your job is what's selling you to come to them, especially now. We have so much competition that
right.
why go to somebody that's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no, I do them myself." Okay. Okay. See ya. And then I'll go talk to somebody else because there's lots of people doing nails and the client doesn't really know the difference, especially if they're just getting into it, the difference between one quality tech over another quality tech. Only discerning clients know between one quality tech over one other quality tech.
Hmm.
Only the discerning ones know. So that client that's talking to you, you don't know if they're discerning or not, but they're really, and if they are testing your personality at that point. Because if you're going to sit there and hold someone's hand for 90 minutes to 2 hours, you gotta like them to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You don't have to love them. I've had some clients didn't really particularly like me, but they didn't dislike me enough that they had to go the other way. Most of my clients, we got along really great. I could go have a cup of coffee with them and totally jive and get along. And sometimes you don't click with somebody quite as good, but I found a lot of the times the more open and more responsive and then you find those people that you attract, that you do have a passionate thing, that you appreciate that about each other. But if you're going to hold their hand for a couple of hours, they're going to want to like you. And if they don't care how good you are. They'll go somewhere else.
Right, right, exactly.
Hmm.
So I want to
Yeah.
ask this other question, like, was there anybody that really inspired you to get into the artistry of nails? Is there any, favorite artist that you really love, seeing their work?
Hmm. Well, back in the day, in the mid 80s, the only thing we had to make us know about other nail technicians was the Nails magazine.
Hmm.
There was no social media. There's none of these things. We didn't know who anybody was except for the Nails magazine would show some pictures of them. So, because I had my head down on my desk doing nails time in and time out, day in and day out,
Hmm.
I can't honestly say any part of the career that I really did know of anybody really at that point who
Hmm.
I would wanted to have. Although I remember flicking through magazines and seeing a few pictures of some nails and going, "Oh, who did that?" But it was probably
Hmm.
an advertisement or something. And because it wasn't attached to it, nail technicians weren't, really brought out as who's doing whose nails. That wasn't really talked about then. I didn't really know who they were. So I can say that I saw some nails that I really admired. I don't know who was attached to them, but that was, 25, 30 years ago. So, I would probably take it up to now where social media and we can really talk to each other. That and now I can have a little more fun doing that because I don't have my head down at the nail table so much anymore. I can
Right.
sort of lift my head up and going, "Who's doing nails in the world?" And about 5 years ago, when I got into YouTube, when I went down to some of the trade shows, getting involved in that again, I did pick out some people that I really wanted to meet, and that was Max Estrada from Nail Couture, John Hawk, who does great nails, and I judged him in a competition once, and I always wanted to meet him because his work was so gorgeous.
Hmm.
And Doug Schoon. I really wanted to meet Doug Schoon because he'd been in the magazines that I've been reading for years. And so those were the three people when I went down to Vegas for those trade shows. And I actually did get a chance to meet them and formed good relationships with mostly two of them. John, he seems like a really nice guy. I just really haven't had time to really get to know him that well, but I did get to know Max really well. And Doug Schoon has been just a great source of stable chemist information when I really want to know something. He's the guy I go to because I could ask all sorts of people, but if you want to know the final answer, well, there's no point in, I mean, I will converse, but the final say, it would be a chemist. And Jim McConnell is in that category now, who I've got to know as well. So yeah, it just sort of, it's been involved for sort of in the past few years where I've got a chance to get to know those particular people. And of course, now with social media, there are so many great nail technicians, pictures that have come across my Instagram that I'm following because I just love them. So many great artists, too many to name, but some really, really great, innovative, and I gravitate to the people that I really click with too, personality-wise, because I think that's such a huge part of our industry that sometimes we forget.
Yeah, yeah. I can agree because I also got inspired by different nail artists. I got into doing nails like around like 14 years old.
Oh,
And
wow.
and the first time I wrote to Nail Pro was like around when I was like 14 or 15. So
Oh, wow.
I got inspired by different nail artists like such as Captain Wong, Viv Simmons, Gino Silvestro. There's so many nail artists that are so great at what they do and hone their
Oh,
craft
yeah,
so well.
yeah,
And I would look at the Nail Pro magazines, the Nails
yeah,
magazine, and look at
yeah.
the competition section because
Oh,
that's what drew me the most inspiration. Like because the fantasy, the 3D nail art, the
mhm,
structure of the
yeah,
nail, the pink and whites. And
yeah.
I got so inspired by a lot of them. And I recently did an interview with Viv Simmons and Catherine Wong. And, I
Mm.
told them, you both are my inspirations. You're the reason that's why I got into nails, and
Isn't
it's
that fascinating? That's so good. Congratulations. That's so fun to meet the people that you really admire. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was like really, really cool. And especially having the opportunity honor to like interview them and, just get to know them,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know they're no different than me,
Nope.
and I feel like, we have things in common and we're so much into art. I'm
Yeah.
also inspired by other artists like Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat, so many, cool, artists with different styles. Salvador Dali, and I went
Oh,
to,
like I say, there's so many to name. And when you finish this interview, you're going to go, oh, I should have mentioned, because there are so many talented, innovative artists.
mhm,
Some of the work, it's just literally, how on earth did they do that? I mean, 30 years ago, we really perfected the French crisp line.
right,
But what they're doing nowadays is like, what? They just built a skull into that, or they just
right.
carved an intricate design as it hangs down. I forget her name, but she does some pointy, long things. And on the side of it, it's just stunning, just
Yeah,
breathtaking.
yeah, it's
It's pretty
incredible.
cool, pretty innovative.
Yeah, there's another nail artist that I think is from Europe or Romania, and her name
Yeah,
is Proska Bojana, and she
that's,
does
I think that's the one.
these long
Yeah,
nails,
yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
she has like the skull as her logo, and I love her work. Her work is
I think that's
outstanding,
her.
and she does this thing where like with the nails, like it's like a cool like design. It's not just a regular stiletto, but the stiletto it has like a cool like sculpting
Yep.
design, and it's called the casting technique. So I was like, oh wow, like that's crazy, like how you do all that stuff, and there's some nail techs I'm inspired by who are like in Russia and Europe,
Yeah, me too.
different parts of
That's
the
the
world.
ones, they're the ones over there that just blow me away. And those are a very different, those aren't nails that you put on clients by any means. That
Right.
takes it off into a whole new different direction. And you can't make money doing those at the nail table. That's just not a reality. So they're two very, very different. But we have really gone off on different ways where I don't know. I'm sure she makes a lot of money teaching that and she can make a living at
Right.
it. And there's probably some clients that maybe do that. That's amazing. I'd like to hear the backstory on that. But over here, we just don't do that. And that's not practical. But man, just to dive into that and I'd love to take a class. I mean, I'll never be able to do a nail like that on a customer, but I would love to see how, or just watch how it goes down would be the cool thing, eh?